emailed me after and said I wanted to add a couple of things to it. But this is yours from last week, so I'll open this too as well. But these are, um, some of the works, and I also went through them and I opened this idea of liking. I think I did that last week too, so you can go back and see what your peers have done when I give you the work session in about 10 minutes. But today we're going to move on to Unit 4, Activity 4, and this is the bridge from what we were talking about in terms of advertising to the actual unit activity. Go back. About, I think it's by Jean Kilbourne. It's the piece called People as Products. Now, some of you have read this, but I wanted to do a preview for when you get to the activity, U4A4. Right. At the start, expectations, learning goals. As you know, you have to read through these to get to the actual content. Here we go. People as products. Now, this particular author, Jean Kilbourne, talks about the ideas of the mass media, which is what the unit is about, and the ideas of advertisers and how they get you to buy certain products, lure you into the consumerism, lure you into purchasing items you may not need, all of those things. So in order to get you to think about this as you read it, I'm going to do a preview activity today, looking at something from the Greek philosopher Galileo. Now, Galileo, a long time ago, created the idea of something called rhetoric. And you know what, let me show you a picture of him first. And rhetoric is the art of persuasion, or getting people to believe in your argument. So you can see a lovely picture of him here. And he based this idea, because obviously during the Greek times, 300 BC, there was no television and no advertising really, but he based his ideas around the art of writing, and argument, conversation. How do you get people to believe in what you're saying or what you're arguing for, or what you are fighting for, your ideas? How do you convince people that your ideas are real or true? And he divided his ideas into 3 particular, and they're called rhetoric appeals in a traditional sense, but don't focus on that. Focus on the ideas of the 3 ways that they persuade a reader, okay, or a listener to believe in the speaker or the writer's argument, right? One is to draw upon your ideas of data and facts. So a good argument will always provide some sort of facts or numbers, statistics. For example, 80% of people use this kind of toothpaste because it makes their teeth white. Or 25% of people in the world need a better toothpaste. Anything with numbers or data or facts in it is one of the ways in which Aristotle argued was a way of persuading people to believe in your thoughts and your ideas. Another way was the idea of drawing upon people's emotions, right? So if you draw upon somebody's unhappiness, or if you draw upon somebody's not being satisfied with something, they will believe in your argument or buy into your argument, right? So if you say, if you use this toothpaste, more people will find you attractive. Or if you use this product, more people will be your friend, right? They draw upon the emotion in that case of maybe insecurity or lack of confidence, those kinds of things. So the first way that people argue and persuade you is through the ideas of data and logic, numbers. Another way is through emotions, so they draw upon your emotions. And the third way is something called ethos or credibility. I'm going to give you the Greek names afterwards, but ethos is a word that's actually still used in conversation, but it's the idea of credibility. And that means having people support your point of view. Now, if you had an expert or if you have a doctor who supports your argument, that person increases the believability of what you're trying to say. right? If we look at the idea of, say, a scientist supporting your argument for, environmental change, people will say, oh, okay, so the scientist believes in your argument, then therefore your argument is strong. Your argument is based on an actual researcher, an actual person involved, okay? So let me just go back through it before I introduce you to the three Greek terms. The first idea is to use data, statistics, or numbers to convince somebody of your argument. The second way is to use or to draw upon somebody's emotional response, to use emotions. The third way is credibility, or something called ethos, where you have a source, a person, an expert supporting your point of view. So if you want to go super short, first is data, emotion, and then credibility, like a person or support. So data, emotion, credibility. Now, in terms of the actual Greek terms, let me go back to the page. All right. Yeah. There it is. Okay. In terms of the actual Greek terms, ethos, I already told you, is still used in English conversation, but the idea of ethos is somebody supporting your point of view, a researcher, an analyst, a doctor, a scientist, anybody who can back up your point of view. Pathos is what is known as the emotional response. So if you use emotion to persuade somebody to believe in your argument, you're using pathos. I've also heard it pronounced as pathos. And logos is the idea of using data or statistics to support your argument. Now, although Aristotle created these ideas of ethos, pathos, and logos for writing and speech or speaking to people, they have transferred over into advertising. So advertisers nowadays use these three kinds of rhetoric to persuade you to buy a product. Now, some ads will use only one. So for example, if you watch a television commercial, they might have a celebrity. I don't know who's a popular celebrity with young people nowadays. I don't know, Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, I don't know, those pop stars. Sorry, I'm not really up on pop culture for young people, but if those people, or Taylor Swift, for example, are using products, then maybe young people will buy those products. Or if movie stars are using products. Now, most of the time they're using Hollywood movie stars, but I'm sure even in your own culture or other parts of the world, they will use like global actors and actresses, global singers, and etc., artists, celebrities. Advertising will also draw upon the idea of pathos. As mentioned earlier, for example, if I'm talking about toothpaste and I'm trying to sell toothpaste to people, I might say, as the example I used earlier, if you use this toothpaste, you have more friends. If you use this toothpaste, you'll be very popular. So that plays upon the emotion of insecurity in people, right? And then logos is what I mentioned earlier about dentists, right? 80% of dentists recommend this toothpaste. 30% of scientists say this kind of soap is the best way to get rid of the COVID virus, right? Now, some advertisers will only use one of the three. Decent advertisers will use all three. They'll try to use all three. Most of the time, though, you'll see two in an ad, at least two, right, to convince you that the product is good. So originally, these Aristotle ideas started with writing and oration, or the art of speaking. And now they've moved over into advertising. Not now, they've been in advertising for the last, I don't know, 100 years. I'm going to get you to watch a video, but today's Padlet activity is going to ask you to define one of these two terms, at least one of these terms, according to your understanding. But I think the video is going to help you a little bit while you're working on the Padlet and thinking about how these three build the culture of advertising that we were talking about, I think about 2 weeks ago when we introduced the media unit, and how advertising, I mentioned, was a large part of mass media. Okay, so I'm going to just stop sharing the screen and go to the video. This video is not long, it's only about 8 minutes. And then we'll come back and I'll review the activity with you. Oh, sorry, I have to share the audio or you're not going to hear it.